jumping to the conclusion or drawing conclusions. Hey, I'm using my physical senses and nothing's changing in this area, but it is in that area. What does it mean about my beliefs in this area? First question is from Lucy. Lucy asks, when doing the work, taking the baby steps, affirming many empowering beliefs, I can see abundance happening in some areas, but not others. Is this because there is more to learn from what is? Or do I need to work on specific empowering beliefs in these areas? Don't overthink it, Lucy. I do not choose ever to view circumstances that aren't changing as, well, it's supposed to be like this. Well, I'm supposed to be learning more. You're not supposed to do anything except have fun, okay? Also, jumping to the conclusion or drawing conclusions. Hey, I'm using my physical senses and nothing's changing in this area, but it is in that area. What does it mean about my beliefs in this area? Don't even try to go there, okay? You're going to label yourself. You're going to assume something's wrong. Maybe nothing was wrong. It might have been priorities, but for the assumption, now something's wrong. So just keep working it. Keep working it. You've got some confirmation that this stuff is working. It always works. It never fails. Every day you get closer. Every day it gets easier. Let that be your modus operandi. And then just keep working it in these other areas. If it hasn't shifted yet, it's not because it's due to you having more to learn in that area. I mean, we always have more to learn in every area. And you know, hypothetically, maybe there's more to learn in an area in the sense of maybe in this area, you've got conflicting beliefs. Maybe in this area, there's something you misunderstand about your birthright of prosperity. Okay. And so there's always room to do some inner work, but never assume I want it, don't have it, something's wrong with me. I have to learn more. Anything. Keep wanting it, keep defining it wisely, as I've taught in the earlier workshops, mini manifesting workshops. Keep showing up with baby steps and a glad heart, enjoying where there are breakthroughs. You know, sometimes give those other areas a rest, and prepare to be astounded because it always works. Krista asks, when I set aside time to visualize, should I focus on one thing that is most important each day, or should I pick something different each day, such as whatever the most important thing is for me in each of the 5 categories of happiness? Oh, somebody knows about playing the Matrix, and whether or not you know, don't worry about the 5 categories. Krista, there's no one way to visualize. If you're, as a note from the universe once said, if you're even trying to do it right, you're doing it right. Okay, you're way ahead of the gang. Okay, and people succeed wildly without ever visualizing as a ritual. So if you're doing it as well as being this positive vibrational person that's living their life, oh my gosh, fasten your seatbelts. It's all going well. So what's most important is that you keep yourself entertained and that you make this a fun and appealing exercise. So if you want to visualize abundance, you know, for 32 days in a row, go ahead. If you want to visualize abundance and then health and then aesthetics and then relationships and then livelihood, that's good too. Don't make it a job and don't think I need to be well balanced. Remember, if you've heard me share, the ultimate end result is happiness, because happiness implies all of the cylinders in your life are firing. If you envision yourself happy, the only way that real joy can come to pass experientially through thoughts become things is if you are with good livelihood. You can live financially on your terms. You have friends and laughter, relationships. You're pleased with your appearance and or the direction you're moving with your appearance. And the Fantastic Five are all checked off. This is what happiness does. And in this way, Krista, you don't have to think of anything other than joy. My typical visualization every morning is just like, yes, I'm so happy. Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. That implies I got money. That implies I love my life. That implies I have great livelihood. That implies that my back doesn't hurt. That implies that, it implies everything. But when you have priorities, like I really need those dollars, I really need a great livelihood, then in addition to the joy, which has already covered every base, including dollars and livelihood, but I know how it feels, like I really want that. Then go to the priority areas and also be like, I got the career, I'm traveling. Yes. My agent. Yeah. Agent. Tell my publisher, my rates just tripled. Okay. Bye. Visualize all that stuff. So, all right, Lorraine, how do I keep it general when I seem to want something so specific? Lorraine, again, another very advanced question, is somebody who must be a little bit familiar with my work. And these are topics I've already touched on in some of the 8 or so earlier mini manifesting workshops. Get clear, Lorraine, on what it is you really want. And what it is you really want is not the specifics. Okay, specifics are awesome, and it's okay to visualize them. I'll go there in just a minute, Lorraine. But what you really want is joy. What you really want is financial abundance. What you really want is vibrant vitality. What you really want is to be hot and fine. What you really want is friends and laughter. You got to get it. Get it. Understand that at a deep level. That's what you really want. Okay. So how do you get that? You dress it up in details. So this is where, once you know, Lorraine, where your high priorities are, as I just gave you those options, maybe the Fantastic Five and or happiness, or just any general category like I already named. Where are your priorities? It can be happiness and 3 other things if you want. Write them down, and then dress those breakthrough areas up in lots of glorious, sexy, colorful, aromatic details. Okay, and you can even visualize the new home. You can visualize the modern kitchen. You can visualize the certain sports car. You can visualize holding hands with that dream person, even their face. But drum roll, leave room for better. Okay, now we're not deviating on the big picture priority areas: happiness, vitality, joy, financial abundance. That is set in stone. Okay, we're not deviating on that. But now, because that's so vague, we're going to get into the luscious details. Not because the details are important. There will always be cool details. And when your big dream comes true, details are going to be a dime a dozen. And there will be details you don't even now know to define. You don't even now know that they exist. So don't lock them out by insisting on certain details. Visualize certain details to get the big picture. It's not about those details. It'll be these details or better. So don't think you're not going to be getting cool details and you have to learn to love happiness or abundance. You're going to get so many details and specific people and certain circumstances and how all of this came to you. Nothing wrong with those unless at the outset of a journey you're attached. So get into the details because you want the big picture. Make that distinction. It's as easy as that. With a little practice and effort, you'll be there all right away. And when it comes to relationships, yes, I get this question a lot. There's a certain someone you really love. Okay, visualize that they love you too, but realize you cannot manipulate them. There's no such thing as destiny, and they have to play along. And if they don't, they don't. They lose. Somebody better is going to come, and they're going to be better because they'll have all of their qualities, the former person's qualities, plus they're going to be crazy about you. Wouldn't you rather have that person? You would. Okay, you would. Jessica, you talked about goal setting in one of your first mini masterminds. Can you give more guidance on structuring your goals? Okay, well, I think that last question for Lorraine was exactly what you were looking for. Goals are awesome, okay? But the more detailed they are, the more likely you are attaching, the more likely specific people need to behave specific ways, the more likely that there's going to be certain unimportant details attached to them, and they become problematic. So ideally, goal setting should simply be know where your big picture priority areas are for life transformation. Happiness, livelihood, which is career, finances, money, health, relationships, and aesthetics. Your body, but looking hot, losing weight, gaining weight, otherwise altering your appearance. If you can do it, go for it. You're of the divine. You get to call the shots and name your priorities. Once you know these priorities, dress them up in details. So you have emotional passion. So these generalities, these six, the fantastic five, I call them, and happiness, are your ideal goals. They're vague. Dress them up with details, visualize, affirm, and then show up with baby steps. Some of the questions to come are about that. Show up and move in their direction, prepared to be astounded. Now, if you're in a business, if you're working for a corporation, you have to deal with specific people, deadlines, quarterly financials, board members, widgets and gizmos. And some people say, oh, your big picture approach doesn't work for the business world, but it was a nice try. It's a really good idea. It's like, of course it works for the business world. The business world's end result is always very broad brush and general. Stockholders, appreciation, shareholders, and bottom line, big picture profits. And while they will deal with people and deadlines and hows and gizmos, etc., they're not saying Mary in human resources is going to find the perfect CEO or we go out of business. That's what individuals do. They're like, if I don't find my Romeo or Juliet, then I must have invisible, limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs. And they stop trying. It's like, businesses, they deal with these details, they deal with deadlines, but they keep rolling. And if something doesn't pan out, they keep rolling. They don't take their eye off the broad brush, high priority goal of shareholder satisfaction and bottom line profits. So your goals can sometimes, because it's forced upon you, have dates and certain people who need to play certain roles and behave in certain ways, and other contingencies. And you might even have your own 5-year plan, your 10-year vision. But as long as you are flexible with those, go for it. Just be determined, settle for nothing less. But if in the end it doesn't work out the way you thought, keep on going, reset the bar, have new sights, come up with a new plan, try another gizmo, gadget, whatever. Do you see? So that's how goals are good. Goals are awesome. But when happiness is your goal, you can start living goallessly. Now, I don't even do that, to be honest. I always have priorities. I want to do this. I want to make that happen. I want to go here. I want to do that. We're otters of the universe. We're the joyful, playful critters of the universe, the otter. And they're known for how playful they are. Human beings are the otters of the universe. So if you want to go out there and micromanage with no strings attached, this or better, and you want to dabble in that area, and build this house and buy that car and fall in love with Trixie and go ahead and try and let those be your goals. But you're never assured of success when they are your end results, because Trixie might not take the bait and blah, 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 blah. Whereas the big picture, everyone, let me give you a line I love to share now with audiences. By having wisely defined end results, goals, any and all of us can move to 100% success. 100% success. I teach, following that point, that wisely defined goals, dreams, desires, and end results would always be happiness. You can have happiness. Financial abundance, you can have it. There's a ton of it out there. Just look at the people. They got nothing on you. Health, livelihood that you love, relationships, aesthetics, 100%, baby, 100%. When you say, I want the gold medal in the Olympic 50-yard dash, it's like, there's a lot of people who want that. That's too detailed. You might get it, you might not. Don't hinge your happiness on micromanaged details and nuances. Visualize things like that. But when you understand what's really important is the big picture values, 100%, 100%. This is living deliberately, creating consciously, and it begins with wisely defined end results. Okay. Anne asks, could you give some tips on visualizing for your livelihood, for your right livelihood, when you're sure what the end result might be? I believe you said, don't think I'm a successful writer, or I've published a New York Times bestseller, stuff like that, right? Right now, I've been trying the I love my life, I love my work, I'm a natural born writer, etc. But I run out of juice after about a minute of this. Oh, Anne. Okay, so I love my life, I love my work, I'm a natural born writer. But I can understand that those are so vague. You might be like, okay, now what? So I quite likely said you ought not affirm, and probably not in those words, I'm a successful writer, I've published a New York Times bestseller. Okay, what's more important is I love my life, I'm an awesome writer, people love my work, writing is easy for me, but it's not just about writing. Don't hinge your happiness on just about writing. And I've said in this passage regarding livelihood that you're speaking of, that I never set out at the beginning of my present career 19 years ago and said, I'm going to be a writer. I never said, I'm going to be a speaker. I said, I hate speaking. Mom, why do I have to speak? My friends don't speak. That's where I was. And writing, I didn't like writing. I liked having written, as I've shared earlier. Which is kind of almost true now, but I like having written so much that I do end up liking to write. But by saying, this is my path, if you really love it and you're not risking your sanity or the roof over your head, you can get more specific. But if you want to say things like, I love my life, I love my work, I'm a natural born writer, then I think you're leaving room for New York Times bestseller. You're leaving room for being a screenplay author. You're leaving room for being a teacher of writing. And consider what it is that you like about writing. Is it because you have something to share? Are you a teacher? Are you a storyteller? And that leads you down paths like, are there other ways to teach besides writing? Are there other ways to entertain besides storytelling? Whether, as a fictional author and the answer is yes, there's ways to entertain, there's ways to educate, and writing is just a tool towards that. Now, I don't want to talk anybody out of writing, because it could be that you just love the creative expression and artistic merit that is intertwined with the way you write, and you should write. But if that's what you love, it's not so much about writing a New York Times bestseller. It's that you love this outlet. You love this expression. You love putting emotion and thoughts into a never before seen collection of words. If that's what you love, then I love my life, I love my work, I'm a natural born writer really fits. And if you're doing and beaming in that, while you have other end results of joy and creative, fulfilling work, if writing is that ticket, it will find its way and emerge, and you will be one of those New York Times bestsellers that just, they can't print enough of your books. So this is a question that has many, many layers, and I appreciate that. You can still say, I'm a New York Times bestseller, I am a successful writer, but I would also advocate that you realize you are much more than that. And not just with regard to livelihood. Sometimes when we're focused on, I want this book, I want to be a writer, or I want this date, I want to be a lover, or I want this career, I want to be a whatever. We can neglect that there's so much else going on in our awesome, amazing lives. I mean, maybe you've got hobbies, maybe you are an animal whisperer, maybe you can go for walks in the woods. Maybe you already have amazing work and amazing friends at work. Maybe you already have an amazing family and you're helping people. Maybe you're already of service. And all the while, you want your writing to just blow up. Well, if you're overly focused on the writing and you're not paying attention to these other rocking areas of your life, you can put too much stress on yourself writing and not write well for that stress. So be in every area of your life, even though one of them you really want change in. And this applies to everybody watching and listening right now. Okay, too often we'll get behind one desire, and I gotta find my soulmate, and I gotta make more money. And you're so into that one thing that you're stressed out about it, and you're neglecting the other areas of your life, which instead, if you enjoyed the other areas of your life, while being mindful of this priority area for change, you will more likely be able to change that priority area. You'll think more clearly, more freely, with less stress and less effort, and you'll get where you want it as you enjoy your rocking life. So, and I hope this many-faceted question got answered from every facet. Kelly, I'm not sure where I should go, what I want, who I should become from here. I've lost the fire of a burning desire. Am I not thinking big enough? Complacent with my existence? I'm unclear of what my next big thing could or should be. So, how does one find, discover, aim for that mind blow? It is the dirt road that leads to the diamond mine. Okay? It is the sucky path that turns into the yellow brick road. So I have so been where you are, and I hear this kind of question quite a lot. I don't even know what my bliss is anymore. You know, maybe you've mastered certain areas of your life. Maybe you're a certain age. Maybe you've messed with the shoulds in the house so long you don't even know what you like anymore. Look, we know that you want happiness. We know that you phrased it very well here. Mind-blowing, people-serving, life-enhancing intention. We know that you want those things. These are your end results. Now, how do you get there? Do what you can with what you've got from where you are. Will that seem insufficient? Absolutely. That's life's hook. Go do that shit anyway, okay? Just get out of the house, go volunteer at hospice, volunteer at the hospital, volunteer at the animal shelter, volunteer at the women's shelter, volunteer at the men's shelter. Volunteer, I'm saying, because you said service, and because sometimes that's the easiest way to be fully engaged fast, as opposed to looking for work, and then we get really, really picky. It's like, look, just go do something, see it all as temporary. Get a part-time job or a full-time job, if not for the money, for the expression and the opportunity it'll give you to dance, meet new people. And then you go with a glad heart. Then you enjoy your work. Then you enjoy being a volunteer. It's not going to compare to mind-blowing, people-serving, life-enhancing. It's not going to be that. It will lead to that, particularly if you go do these things with a glad heart. I mean, you go there to really connect with some individual, to give somebody solace, to hold their hand, to be maybe their only friend, to find out how deep you are, because you're finding how great your connection is with complete strangers. So I think it's understandable. It's painful. Many people feel like they don't have a burning desire. They don't know where it begins. It's not because you're complacent with existence. It's not because you're unclear of what the next big thing is. I mean, I know you are, but it's not a fault, is what I'm saying. It is not a fault. It is too often we're looking for the big, sexy thing because we know the universe conspires on our behalf and there's a law of attraction. And so what is it for me? It doesn't show up. It shows up with lots of little baby steps down unglamorous, unspiritual paths. And when I say unspiritual, to the naked eye, very often, people will think, okay, spiritual. What is that? Yoga? What is that? Meditation? It's like, no, it's cold calling. It's rolling up your sleeve and getting your hands dirty. It's breaking a sweat. Those are truly the most spiritual things you can do. And I think, Kelly. I think what I urge so many people is be amongst others. Okay, make sure that you don't let this turn into a solitary pursuit with your garden and your fur babies. Be out there dealing with people, and that will far more quickly bring to mind other avenues and possibilities that will be rewarding and filling and all that. Let's see. Lorraine is asking, how do I have clarity instead of being overwhelmed when there are so many choices and directions to go to help grow my business? When I am overwhelmed, I procrastinate and do very little. It's an art, Lorraine, and there's not going to be one answer here. I would tell you that when you have trouble picking which of the many wonderful paths that are in front of you, that usually is commingled with a sense that some of your choices would be better than others, that some of the options are better than others. But at surface value, they all look great. How do you pick which one? They're all great, okay? If you really, truly are indifferent and they all feel like they're great, pick two, pick three, pick one and go. It's right. It's right. The instant you pick a path, all of the elements realign. The entire universe joins you. Everything starts moving in that direction. You can't choose wrong. And yes, it can be overwhelming. It can lead to kind of debilitation and paralysis. There's too many great choices. Oh my gosh, it's all so easy. You got to pick. You got to pick, and you don't want to stagnate. You want to get to that place of good and plenty. So that's going to be the best motivation you can give yourself. As far as the overwhelmed part, let me see if something else comes to me. Well, I can only tell you I can relate to this very day. And I remember saying this to Reed Tracy and to other people I used to play golf with. I've been an entrepreneur since 89. So that's a lot of years, 30 years, 30 years. And one of the things that I've always found the hardest is I don't know what to do next. And it's not because I have a ton of great choices. It's like a lot of tricky choices. And I don't know, oh man, I don't know what to do next. And to this day, I don't know what to do next. But that doesn't stop me from doing stuff, which has led from one book to 17, from one world tour to 4 world tours. It's led to Train the Trainer program. That led to Soulapalooza program. So in hindsight, I'm glad for all of my choices. But I have always struggled with, and I think it's quite normal, what do I do next? I wish somebody would tell me, go down this path, do this next. Nobody does. You have to tell yourself. The rewards are out of this world. You're on your way. Okay, Lorraine? Cheryl, if you take baby steps and strive towards a goal, but there never seems to be an open door, is that a sign from the universe that it's time to pick a new goal? Well, let's broaden the picture here. Okay, if the goal was happiness, you would never pick a new goal. If the goal was micromanagement, to make this widget sell, to make that person fall in love with me, then yeah, it's time to have some new goals. So if the goal is livelihood or financial abundance, no, you would never change that goal, but you might change the door you're knocking on. And it sounds like the question is pertained to a very specific corridor, pathway, or how. Okay, and if that's the case, you ought to be knocking on more doors. Simultaneously try different doors. When it comes to discovering a passionate livelihood, when it comes to opening up avenues for abundance to reach you, if you're knocking on a door and it's not opening, you need to be knocking on more doors. But let me rephrase that. I can never really fully go into the mind of the questioner. If you take baby steps and strive towards a goal, but there never seems to be an open door. Okay, so that's a little different than the answer I just gave. Hopefully somebody will get something out of that answer I just gave. So you're doing stuff down a path for livelihood or abundance or happiness, but no doors are opening. That does not mean pick a new goal as long as your goal was broad brush stroke. Okay, you're never going to settle for less than happiness, abundance, and great livelihood. So that's how I got on the tangent. But if you were, let's just say hypothetically, moving down a path for rocking livelihood or financial abundance or improved love life and finding a rocking travel partner, but no doors are opening, let me see, where's that question? Is that a sign from the universe that it's time to pick a new goal? No, there's no signs. I'm not a big believer in signs. I mean, that doesn't stop me from asking. Sometimes like, give me a sign. But in my experience, people generally overread things that are happening in their life as a sign. It's like the only sign that matters are your feelings, okay? Is the path not fun anymore? Is the priority not a priority anymore? That's when you might change the direction you're moving in. So I wouldn't think that there's a sign here. You don't have to change the goal if it's generally stated. Yes, you do need to change the goal if it's too specific. And I think I got you covered, Cheryl. Annalise, what is your favorite way to gently introduce this amazing concept of abundance and power to people who are stuck in lack and fear? Truth will set you free. And what degree of truth can they handle? If it's a kid, if it's a teenager, I think one of the best ways, my favorite way, would be to suggest that they watch the film. You can watch it for free online, for free, The Secret. It's fun, it's easy, it's zero religion. It's not overly spiritual. There's pretty much zero spirituality in the 90 minutes of The Secret, although it hints to spirituality. I think that's one of my favorite ways. But, ironically, I have very few people other than, everyone I write to that are not of this persuasion that I would like to bring to this persuasion. I've been on this path for 40 plus years. So that'll be true for you one day. But that's what I would do. I would share the video, The Secret. And then there's other fun, go to my recommended reading list. If they're adults, the book, The Prophet, wow. The book, Illusions, and Jonathan Livingston Seagull, both by Richard Bach. The book, Silva Mind Control by Jose Silva. Some of these books are really woohoo. They talk about the power of positive thinking. And that's a gentle way to get to the truth that your thoughts absolutely become the things and events of your lives. Or take them to Solapalooza or a Mike Dooley event. Valerie, what if your wants contradict themselves? For example, I am looking for a new position due to a layoff, but would love financial abundance to do what I wish. In a nutshell, want versus need. Okay, I don't necessarily see a contradiction there, Valerie. You'd like a new job because you were recently laid off, but you would also like financial abundance to do whatever the heck you want. Well, with financial abundance, wouldn't you like a rocking livelihood? And many livelihoods pay. Okay, so for you, I would have two end results: financial abundance and rocking livelihood. I mean, maybe you want to be a volunteer. Maybe you want to start a foundation for children. Maybe you want to do, livelihood doesn't have to be something that pays, but it's a handy way to get abundance and financial abundance alone. So as you move towards financial abundance and livelihood, you will very likely be drawn just through efficiency to knock on some doors that might produce both. Okay, when I tell my story, that's exactly what I did. I needed I needed livelihood that paid the bills 19 years ago. And possibly writing, possibly speaking, possibly being an entrepreneur or going back into public accounting would do that. So why wouldn't your new livelihood, in this case for you, your new job, be one that could potentially set you up to have financial abundance through which you could do whatever you want? And again, when you can do whatever you want, eventually that's going to bring you back to livelihood. Don't think, if I was worth endless millions of dollars, I would never work again a day of my life. You would be so bored. You would be miserable if you didn't have a contribution with life. You might not work for money. You might work to serve, but you would want to be doing something. And that's what I'm speaking of. And there's nothing wrong with doing something that makes money. So, you might be an entrepreneur, okay? Or maybe you could work in an industry now for very little, but hypothetically, it's a trade-off for working in an industry you love while playing the lottery and doing what you can to move towards abundance. And this way, as you're in an industry you love, it might set you up all the quicker to be an entrepreneur in that industry. So while somebody might pay you peanuts, at least you're going to learn the ropes to be an entrepreneur, and then the sky's the limit. Mix and match and get a little, tricky in there. And you might find that there are no such contradictions, Valerie. Thank you for the great question. Martine, how do you read the messages, the nudges that the universe throws at you? Do you know them in a moment, or do you realize that's what they were in hindsight? Well, this goes back to my earlier share moments ago, Martine, that, I'm not a big one in looking for signs. Is that a message from the universe? Is that a sign that I should move to California? I think we can overread. The biggest sign, as I said, are your feelings. And when I dwell on a question or a challenge or a problem, in the moments or days or weeks that will follow, and sometimes I stay with it for a little while, not incessantly, very often I will move to a point of clarity. I will move to a point of knowing. It will feel right. I will have my answer. And so sometimes it's quick, Martine, and sometimes it takes weeks to have that moment of knowing. Sometimes I would not say, according to your answer, it was in hindsight, like, oh, that feeling I had 3 weeks ago is right. It doesn't really come like that. It's a gradual metamorphosis to clarity. And it might come quickly and it might come slower. Rarely would I say, boy, I've been confused for 3 weeks, but now I think in hindsight that idea I had last Monday was the right one. So it doesn't really come with hindsight. And again, I'm not looking for insights from the universe the way the question supposed, as if they would be signs that I later recognized. Many people look for signs and ask for signs, and that's a path you can do. I don't like it for me. I think, that feather was a message from mom that I should eat more carrots. It's like, Kim, how do people who suffer from anxiety and or depression get to a point of creating? If someone is stuck in a pattern of self-doubt or heavy negative thoughts most of the day, what can they do to move beyond that? There are many people in the world that are clinically depressed or have mental disorders that may be caused by chemical imbalances or some sort of illness in the body that they may struggle to move out of, that cloud and into the light more than others. So clearly we get the gist of this question. Kim, thank you very much for it. I am not a doctor. I am a recovering certified public accountant, and I still have something to share with you. In these instances, I would not try to understand overly unless it was me. But if you're talking about someone else, I would not try to discern how or why they have this chemical imbalance or illness or whatever it is. But I would try to reach them with new ideas to spark new thoughts. So I would encourage them and you, if it's you or if it was myself, play both ends to the middle, continue to seek conventional help, whether it's medication or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever. Continue down that path. Don't risk anything. But at the same time, consider some playful creative visualization. Consider some affirmations. Consider a gratitude journal. Consider baby steps. Do they theoretically have a more difficult time creating than someone else who's more positive? You know, I think we're getting too detailed here and making it too challenging. I'm not that positive. I worry a lot about a lot of things. Maybe I have a chemical imbalance. I don't know. I'm talking about me. I'm not saying anybody should make these sweeping statements, but it's easy to think, oh, well, they have it easy. They're always positive. People have told me, Mike, I could never be as positive as you. I'm like, if you only knew how not positive I am so much of the time, you would never make such a crazy statement. But it's easy to think everyone else is positive. Everyone else can do this. But I have XYZ affliction. And so it's harder for me. Well, it may be harder for you. Maybe you do have an affliction that other people don't have, or maybe your friends or kids or partners have afflictions that other people don't have. I wouldn't think about that so much. If you're on a path or you feel you ought to find a path of clinical help, get it, do it. It's spiritual. It's a great idea. I would urge you to do it. I see doctors for physical ailments, and I feel like in a way that's kind of negative and it denies my spiritual healing abilities. But I also do the affirmations, the baby steps, the demonstrations, etc. So do all that stuff. But at the same time, thoughts become things. No matter what your diagnosis is, thoughts become things. Maybe you're more challenged at thinking positive thoughts. I don't know, but you can still try. And I can share that in the crises of my life where it was truly doom and gloom, it was truly nonstop fear from sunrise to sunset. In those instances, I can tell you from my life experiences that when I tried to visualize 5 minutes a day, those visualizations would be infested with negativity. Yet I would stick with it. And I can tell you that through all of my crises, those seemingly pathetic attempts to stay positive, to affirm, to keep going, to be positive, I said that, were always enough to stem the tide of fear and negative manifestations and bring me to a brighter, better day. Always, 100%. So I can't diagnose all that stuff, but I can tell you thoughts still do become things no matter who you are. I don't know why they or you are going through that. If it was me personally, I would try to do some inner work. I would try to connect some dots. Why do I feel afraid when I'm an indomitable being of light? Why is there fear when I am a God particle? And I would try to connect some dots, but I wouldn't put my life on hold for that. I would still do the things that I teach while following a clinical path is simultaneously, and all will be well. That's my view. Awesome question. How do you take action to act as if and not see it as preparing? Oh, okay. Great question, Charlie. How do you take action and act as if and not see it as preparing? Again, you guys are very thoughtful, but so thoughtful you're making the simple complex. I give a worksheet in my day-long programs where it's all about demonstrations. And in one column, I want you to write down acting as if, as preparing the way. Prepare thy way for transformation, as if you knew of your imminent, inevitable success. And another column, act as if the dream already came true. And I say some of the items in these two different columns will work in either column. And both are awesome. Both are rocket fuel. But remember, demonstrations are not baby steps. Okay? Demonstrations imply you know of your inevitable success, or they imply you already succeeded. Both are rocket fuel. Okay, so do both. And it doesn't matter if your demonstration got confused as a prepare the way or act as if it already happened. That doesn't matter. But neither are baby steps. Baby steps are actual steps to the best of your ability in the direction of your dreams, often down sucky paths, dirt paths. Because so baby steps are availing you of life's magic ordained by general end results or your goals. Okay. And now you're going to be reachable. Whereas demonstrations, acts of faith, and preparing the way just embolden your inner witness that I'm on my way. This is happening. This has already happened. Those are all great attitudes to have, fostered with demonstration, but not the same as baby steps. Now, baby steps can also be viewed as demonstration, but there very often is a big difference. So I told you about these demonstrations: prepare the way, act as if, and then move in the direction of your dreams, because you're demonstrating that you believe your dream's coming true. So moving in the direction of your dreams to become a lightning rod for change is different than these demonstrations, but is also a demonstration in and of itself. Soror, is that true that there are certain people in my life because we both wanted to be together? If so, what if I know I am no longer interested in them, but they still want to be part of my life? Well, if they're your kids, it's no go. You're stuck with them. Make the best of it until they're adults. I'm saying that facetiously as the one area where you really have no choice. But anybody else who's not a kid of yours, a child of yours, or a parent of yours, and even if they're a parent, you can let them go. You don't have to be there. But it is true that certain people are in your life because you both wanted to be together. But it is equally true that we change at different paces and different rates. And if you're no longer into them and it's not serving you, with love, let there be distance. And what if they still want to be in your life? It's not up to them. It's up to you. We all have that sovereign ability to draw lines and say, it's not serving me. I love you very much. I'm there if you need me under certain circumstances. If you want to add that, you don't have to. You don't owe anybody anything, not even your parents. You don't owe anybody anything other than kindness. But you don't have to have them in your life. You don't have to dialogue with them. You're free to move about your life. Ava, I stated to the universe that I wanted to be a speaker, among other things, as I've gotten experience in that as a teacher, and I know in my heart that's a definite part of my new career. I'm trying lots of ways, as you mentioned in your course, but no door seems to open. I have set up meetup groups, contacted schools to speak there, organized my own seminars, and I continue as I try new avenues. Am I doing it the wrong way? Am I not seeing something so obvious? Am I impatient? What I mean is that if it's my great desire and the universe will allow my dream to come true, then what am I doing wrong? I know my message has already helped so many people out there because I have seen their lives transformed, but it's just very slow. Ava, this is what I was speaking to earlier. Okay, you're a teacher. Sounds like you're a healer. Speaking is one way to teach, one way to heal. There are other ways. So you might be too insistent right now that it is being a teacher, facilitator, speaker, or not. I can't really say. I would consider, if this is what you are, a teacher and a healer, you can do that through writing, maybe do it through a book. You can do that through being yourself in any environment. What are some of your other interests? You could pursue those simultaneously to pursuing speaking. I'll tell you, however, my first audience had two people, my mother and my brother, and other audiences were very, very small, but doors did start to open, never as fast as I would have liked. I would complain to my mother, it's not working. But it was working. So you might be a little bit impatient. I would say you found something that really speaks to you. I would keep doing it. And all that you've done here is very, very smart. I remember speaking at book signings at Barnes and Nobles and Borders back in the day, and nobody showed up. and I would just start speaking to nobody. Oh my God, I don't know how I did that. But so I understand it can be very slow. That doesn't mean don't do it. But there ought to be other things you're doing in the same vein and other things you're doing down other passionate areas. Because, you could be a healer as a school teacher. You could be healing your students, healing your co-teachers. Leslie, I have a full-time career for a family member who I love to bits. And sometimes when thinking about the future and making plans, it feels a bit limited as the person I care for is chronically ill and now virtually bedbound. How can I reconcile the two? Is the best I can do to visualize her smiling, happy, and well? Well, yep, Leslie, that is a good start. Visualize her happy, smiling, and well, and realize that you are rather helpless in bringing about someone else's healing. Okay, so this is where that person is. They're bedbound. You can still love them to bits, but it's going to have to be on the terms that exist. So, and I think you're doing that. So I don't see a contradiction. I don't see a problem, unless, you were thinking, I'm going to love them so much, they're going to get better and we're going to go out for long walks. Hey, that might happen. You can influence other people, but you're not assured of success. And neither should you hinge your happiness on this person getting better. I don't know any of the circumstances here. I don't know if they're 14 years old or 94 years old. So all of that needs to be factored in. I think you can find happiness as a caregiver. You love them to bits. Creatively think of ways that, given the circumstances, you can both benefit the most. I am studying right now an online course named Conscious Manifesting with Eckart Tolle. He says that manifestation has to be done from the consciousness and not from the thought. He says it's hard and not very effective to manifest from thought, affirmations, feelings. With that, sometimes you can manifest, but it is hard to. He also says the manifestation can only be satisfactory and truly effective when it arises from the being more than the doing. And when you are in the being, there is no thought. So how we can manifest without thought, and what do you think about all of this? You say that to manifest something, we have to feel it and think that we already have it. And that is from the doing, not from the being. So I am confused. Wow, Juan, I would be very confused too. Thanks for this great question. I have not read any Eckart Tolle. I don't know anything about his teachings other than he is super popular and super famous. I have picked up The Power of Now several times, but did not feel any resonance with it. So it's not a book for me. He's not a teacher for me, but I cannot discredit the fact that he has clearly, I believe, helped many, 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 many people. Now, as far as what you wrote, I don't know if those are exactly his words or your interpretation of his words, but I totally don't agree with what you're saying is Eckart Tolle's approach. Of course, being is different than doing, but being includes doing. Absolutely. Being doesn't mean meditate on your sofa forever, right? So being totally includes doing. So immediately I see a challenge here, and that he might be using words in a different way I'm using words, okay? But I can sense that, of course, you being you radiating your God energy out into the world, that is all powerful. And when you're led by that, okay, those are feelings. You're being led by feelings that come from your beingness. And now you're in action, and now you're doing. And now you can say there's no thought. But I don't agree with that. I mean, that beingness is a thought vibration. It is a vibration. What he might be saying is, if you think, you need to think extremely linearly and in complete sentences then that thought will probably lack passion, will probably be somewhat artificial, is not born of a beingness, but of a hopefulness. And maybe in that light, those thoughts would not be so helpful. But I don't agree. I don't go there. Beingness is thoughtfulness, okay? And thoughtfulness doesn't have to be thought in terms of words. It can be joy. It can be kind of like, it's like, I love my life. But whether you say I love my life or you just, it's the same thing. So in that sense, those thoughts are so powerful. To me, thoughts become things says everything. It is the end all be all. But that doesn't mean, a literal conscious construction of word thoughts, okay? It can be, doesn't have to be. Feeling is everything. Emotions are everything. So I don't really know I don't really know what to tell you, but I can understand your confusion. Here's an idea. Okay, some of my work, some of Eckart Tolle's work. There are other works out there, and you have a truth barometer that not only applies to your feelings, but helps you ascertain what is. And everything is or is not. It is absolute. So go within, take into account other schools of thought, and see what you think the answer is. I bet you could answer the question you asked me as well as I did. Can I say that? I hope I answered it well for you. Paulette, I've been noticing recently a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Me too. I've some great health days, although I have a chronic illness, where I'm practicing tut, and then I have horrible health days. I'll pay down a chunk of debt and feel abundance flowing to me, and then get hit with a huge unexpected bill. I keep practicing tut and affirmations and faking it till I make it, but I'm worried I'm doing something wrong. I'm worried I'm doing something wrong. And will I be able to keep attracting, or will there be more steps backwards? How can I overcome this and keep taking bigger and better steps forward? You just keep on keeping on. It sounds like you're describing my life. Okay, but in hindsight, you're going to be blown away by the progress you made. Don't overly judge a step back. I thought the biggest step back of my life was the biggest train wreck, disaster, humiliation of my life 19 years ago. But it turned out that it was the biggest dream of my life coming true. It was the train stopping to change tracks and go better, faster, farther. So don't interpret a step back as something unconstructive. It's very constructive. Don't have to define it. You don't have to explain it. Just take that step, realign, recalibrate, press on. When I take more baby steps, more things happen. And now it seems like it's a lot. It almost seems like too much to manage. And I keep wondering, where is this all heading? I still have some distance to go to get my end results, and I feel a bit overwhelmed by all the circumstances happening from taking the earlier baby steps. I don't want to slow the pace down. It would be nice to have more exciting, awesome, cool stuff to happen instead of I think this is the logical baby step to take. Can you give me some encouragement from your experiences? If you're getting overwhelmed and too much is happening, then you don't have to take as many baby steps. There's no wrong way here. Just dream and show up. And the more you show up, the more you become a lightning rod. But if you're showing up so much as overwhelming, chill, don't worry, don't get to that overwhelm. Let it be fun. See it in a different light. You're not the one hitting a home run. You're pitching the ball to a universe on your team who will hit the home run for you. So you just keep showing up and pitching and enjoying and laughing and smiling. And then when the universe finds that right pitch, it will hit the ball out of the park and your dreams will come true. I procrastinate about the baby steps because I don't want to disappoint it if I don't accomplish anything. How do I get past the disappointments in the moment? Don't interpret them as bad. A lot of things don't work out the way you want. That doesn't mean they're bad. Yeah, you're disappointed, but it's like, get over it. You're making progress. You're taking more steps. So it was a year and a half of failure before my dream came true. And then looking back, it was actually a year and a half of setups, creating the positioning on the stage of my life so that I could have this upward spiral. So it's all in how you view it. And let's see, I think I got everybody. Does focusing on an issue cause it to stick or help get rid of it? It can be both. Diversify. Focus on an issue with clarity as to your desired outcome, and then get busy enjoying the rest of your rocking life so that whole category is not on the forefront of your thinking. The best way to get back into alignment and feeling great, take action, show up, go out more. I think I got everybody's question. I did my best.